Hey guys, welcome back. Melissa Sledz here. I'm so happy to have my great friend and business partner, Kelly Boudreau, with me. Welcome. Hey, I'm looking forward to today because I have, as you know, been an entrepreneur for 14 years, and I did a big career transition, or what you might consider to be a big career transition. Back then, coming from oil and gas and phasing into the finance industry. Kelly is also someone who did a big career transition 6 short years ago. She came to us from public accounting. She was a CA?
Yes.
CA for over a decade. And so she comes with a lot of experience. And I think for a lot of people, this was heavy on my heart because I see a lot of people, and I'm sure you could agree, Kelly, working very unfulfilled professions or jobs, and they lack purpose and they lack motivation and they lack sort of the direction of their life. And so I thought it would be really great to get together and talk about how Kelly transitioned into the work that she's doing now, and giving us some tips on how you can go about potentially doing that in your future. So I'd love for you to share a little bit of your background, Kelly, and your story.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This is
You're welcome.
Excellent. I worked in public accounting for 13 years. I had a business degree from the University of Calgary, and then I went straight into professional accounting at a large public accounting firm. And I love the people, I love the learning, but at the end of the day, after 13 years, I found I was pretty much just showing up for a paycheck. And it was that consistency that I craved in my life, and when I had kids, that helped to pay the bills, but it wasn't really what was my life's purpose, if you will. And so I started to think, what else is out there? And I didn't really know all my options. I didn't know where to start looking. So that's how I ended up here at WFG, and it's been a great journey for sure. Yeah.
I find that too. I find so many people, they just, like I said before, they lack all those little things, but they're not really sure where to go.
It's true.
Yeah. So today we're going to share with you some tips. We were just kind of chatting back and forth on some things that we believe are really essential if you are looking to make a career transition, or, are thinking about it. What are some kind of major, we got 5 tips for you. So share with us, Kelly, what would you say is kind of would help someone make that transition?
The first thing I would say is look within and figure out, what are some of your goals? What are the things that drive you? What do you want to accomplish in life? What are the things that when you get to your deathbed, even though it's not one of those exciting things to think about, when you think about the end of your life or near the end of your life, what do you want to have left people with, and what do you want to have left with the world, and what do you want to be your legacy, basically, and does your job get you that? Is that something that you're working towards every day? Are you on that track? So if that's not the case, then maybe start looking at options.
I love that, just kind of identifying your goals and seeing your future. For me, I knew when I met my husband, I wanted to have children, and I wanted to be at home with them when I wanted, and working when I wanted, and kind of having the best of both worlds. And I knew it was very obvious that was not going to be available for me. And so that was a big, like you say, figure out what your goals are, what your values are. Even behind me, you see our core values for our business. I probably wouldn't have spent time going over core values. As an employee in oil and gas, we just didn't talk about that stuff. So it's important to kind of get that direction for sure.
That's true.
What else would you give? What would be number 2 for you?
I would say be open. It's something that if you go into school and you have a track and you think you're like with a CPA or a CA, it was a chartered accountant at first, and then they changed it to a CPA.
Oh, okay.
What I think I felt like was that I had invested a whole bunch of time and a university degree and some money and all that felt like it was very one track.
Yeah.
And I didn't consider what else was out there, or what could branch off of that, or what the other options were. So I'd say be open, because maybe even though that's where you started, it might not be what your purpose is, or what is really gonna drive you forward in your life. And so think about, think outside the box and start to look at, what are some people that I admire doing, and look around.
Yeah, that is so true. I think so many people kind of pigeonhole themselves into what they're doing because they invested a lot. How many people do we know that have huge student loans because they decided they wanted to be something specific? Maybe it was an accountant or a lawyer, or a doctor, or a teacher, or a nurse. and they invest all this money and this time, right? You spend over 5 years plus an apprenticeship of 3 years. So 8 years of studying to become this professional. And then you go down that road and you're like, well, this isn't really what I thought it was gonna be, and I'm not fulfilled, and all those things. And then we kind of just settle because we're afraid to make the transition because we became and put all this time and energy. So I think being open is crucial. And quite often they say there's only like 1 or 2 opportunities that are gonna come across you in your lifetime. And so if you're not open, you may be missing the opportunity to see what's in front of you. And so I love that.
So true.
All right, number 3.
I was listening to Jay Shetty speak with one of our leaders in our company, Ed Milet, recently, and Jay Shetty said that you have all the skills and the competency within you, but you might not have experienced everything that you need to, or every aspect or every avenue that could lead you to what is your true purpose, what you really are looking for. You're not going to know until you try a bunch of things. And maybe that's, you stay in the career you're in right now, but you start to experiment or take some courses or evening, weekend classes, something like that, where you get to see, do I like computer programming? Do I like personal finance? Do I like, coaching? Whatever it is, there's a ton of options out there. Don't limit yourself. We said that before, in being open, but also start trying things.
I love that. I love that. And there are so many, I just did a video on a side hustle, right? There are so many things out there that we can kind of dip our feet in and see if it might be a fit. That's certainly what I did. I never imagined myself being in the finance industry. But I was one of those people that took business in school. So I dabbled in a bunch of different areas in accounting and management and marketing but yeah, I think it's really important to try. And again, that kind of connects with being open, right? Being open to trying. So
true.
All right, number 4.
Along those same lines of trying things, it doesn't necessarily require like a changing transition or transitioning into a new career. It doesn't require a whole bunch of school necessarily. Yes, university is great. Yes, it teaches you a lot. Yes, it takes that commitment and it takes that time and whatnot. But if you're, in your late 20s, 30s, 40s, and you don't feel like you want to go back to school for that long, that's fine. There's other ways of learning. There's other programs. It doesn't take a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of school to figure out what you want. There's other programs that can really show you that.
Yeah, and I'm definitely an advocate of that. I think sometimes we believe because of the way we're raised. I certainly was raised this way, which is interesting because my parents are entrepreneurs, but my mom was one of the few to go to university, and so they were really big on it. And I think it's very old school thinking is you go to university and then you get a good job, right? And so I think sometimes when we think of exactly what you said, when we think of doing a transition, we just think, what would that look like? I mean, I'd have to go back to school and I'd have to get, spend all this money and I'd have to spend all this time. It doesn't necessarily need to be that. And that's where being open to other opportunities that don't require schooling. So I love that.
Yeah.
All right. And finally, number 5.
The last one, which has only come to me over the last few years of being in this business, which I didn't really consider when I was looking at my options out of accounting, is a mentor. It's having someone who you look up to their lifestyle or their, the job that they have, the career that they're in, is that fulfilling to them? And you think, going back to number 1, the values and goals, does that align with what I want? And do they have all the things and are doing all the things that appeal to me?
Yes.
Well, then great. I want to know what they're doing. I want to hear about it. I want to be around that. I want to start to absorb that and start to really live that in my life. And the only way to do that, and to test if you like it, see if you like their lifestyle as much as you think you do, and get around them.
That's probably my favorite point. And I think if we think about the hours that are spent in our career, it's scary. It's sometimes more than the hours that we spend with our family, or right. We know people that work very hard, long hours at maybe a job that they're not happy in. You gotta, I was told very long ago, look at the person that's been there longer where you're at. And is it a life that you want? Is it a life that you admire? Are they in a great relationship with their spouse that you can look up to? I know that was a very defining moment for me in my career transition. And when you find that mentor that you do look up to, it's kind of, you can see the vision of where your life could go. And so I think often we do stay, and then we get kind of trapped in this like negative cycle of like, we're not in like I say, a great relationship. We're not spending a lot of time with our kids, or it's not quality time, and all these things that kind of goes in together. So I love that. It's probably my favorite point. So those are the 5 tips that Kelly and I have for you. If you're looking into a career transition, I think it's so important to talk about, to really reflect on your life and figure out, am I happy doing what I'm doing? What else could I find that could be more fulfilling? Because as the saying goes, I mean, life is short. And the older we get, faster time is going. Holy smokes. The kids are growing up fast, and I've already been here for 14 years. It's just like, man, time is flying. And so it's important to reflect. So I challenge you to take some time and figure out, am I fulfilled? Am I happy? Do I have purpose? Do I have vision for my life? And I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment and like and share, subscribe as always. And thanks for tuning in.